So right now, you're probably the only person who knows exactly how your business structure looks like. And even you might not be like really aware of it if you're just carrying it inside your head. So basically, you know how things connect, you know what systems exist, you know who's supposed to do what, but nobody else does. Now, your team can't see how the business is organized, and that means new hires will spend months trying to figure out how things connect. When somebody's asking, hey, who handles this? They come to you. They don't really know because you're the only one with the complete picture. And that makes you the bottleneck. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to map your entire business on one screen so you can create complete visibility, right? Because the fix is you want to get your business out of your head and into one screen. So I'm going to show you how to build what I call a company mind map, a visual map of your entire business that anyone can look at and instantly understand how things are connected. So what's a company mind map? You can think about it as any kind of other mind map. It's kind of like an org chart or a family tree, but for your business functions, right? So it's for your business structure. It's not for people. You're at the center, or that's the owner of the company. And then you branch out from there and into departments, teams, systems, and then processes, individuals. So you basically start from the big picture and you just create branches that are more and more detailed. So everything is nested inside its parent and everything is connected. So let me quickly show you how this would look like. Here, a typical mind map. We'll go over this a lot more in detail, but basically a mind map looks like this. These are your core business functions. The great thing about a mind map, you can obviously collapse the branches so you can see just the big picture or go as deep into the weeds as you want to go. But basically you would have something like this. You would organize your business into core departments, and then inside those departments, you would have like different teams. And these are just words that I use. You might think I'm too small for departments. It doesn't matter. Then you can call them core functions or core areas of the business. The point is you're going to have the bigger buckets, and then inside of them, you have different stuff. So for example, for growth, you might do marketing, you might do outreach, you might have partners that help you grow, like affiliate and that sort of stuff, and other things. So basically, that's how you create a company mind map. When you zoom out, you see the entire business on one screen, every department, every team, every system, it's all connected, it's all organized. And when you zoom in, then you'll see the little nitty-gritty details for each of the systems, right? So that's basically how it works. So eventually, when you expand all the branches, it's going to look something like this, right? And then you can zoom into different sections of it, and yeah, you'll see how they connect and how they're organized. Now, you might think, wow, this is like super overwhelming, all these different branches, that's too much and so on. But well, let me tell you, like business is complex, right? There's a lot of things that need to happen for a business to start growing and scaling and be successful, especially if you want it to be running without you, right? So you don't have to hold everything together. The complexity exists whether you acknowledge it or not, right? You either make it visible or it will stay invisible and you'll basically be playing like a game of whack-a-mole all the time, like things will randomly pop up and you won't understand how they're connected and so on. But this will put your entire business on one page. However complex it is, just embrace it, acknowledge it, put it out on the paper. It's going to be immediately easier just by that fact that now you have it all in one screen. So here is how the hierarchy is structured, okay? So it's a typical mind map, right? So you got like the branch and then it goes a level deeper and a level deeper and so on and so forth. So you're going to have typically 6 different levels. And some activities are more complicated and they'll have more levels, and some are simpler and they might just have 1 or 2 levels deep and that's it. But basically, at the center is the company. That's the entire business. So here you could put your company name and that's level 1. It's our business, right? And then you could say, okay, inside of our business, we have 5 core departments. Maybe you have more, maybe you have less. You'll create your own. I will leave this template below so you can check it out and download it. But basically, you would have maybe growth, or maybe you want to call it marketing, sales channels, products, operations, leadership. That's in this example. Maybe you see things differently. Maybe you think finances shouldn't just be under leadership. That's a whole separate department. Or maybe HR is a whole separate department. It doesn't really matter. The point is you are going to end up with a structure like this, right? You're going to have, let's say, a growth, or maybe you want to call it marketing. And then one of the levels deeper will be social media. And then social media breaks down into Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you're using, right? Same for, let's say, paid ads. It breaks down into Facebook ads, into Google ads. That's a process group. Inside Google ads, you actually have different processes because you have shopping ads, you have performance max, you have YouTube ads, you have search ads, all this sort of stuff. So you just keep expanding and adding those levels. So typically, these are all the levels that you would need. You have the company, departments. So let's go back. This is a department, teams. So I would have a team called social media. These are the guys on the social media. And again, you can use different terms if you want, but you're going to have to name them somehow so you can communicate and so that you can expand the same logic and use it as an organizing principle of your entire business. So then inside the teams, you have systems, right? So let's just continue with this example. Instagram, that's a system. It's more than just one process, right? Because when you think about it, Instagram is lots of different processes. There's scheduling, that could be done by one person. There's creating the actual content, that's probably another person. Then there's measuring performance and tracking, that might be one of the two people. There are different processes which isn't the same and quite often isn't being performed by one person. And some of them are even more complex. For example, paid traffic stuff, Google Ads is actually more than just one platform when you think about it. YouTube is a completely different, even though it's under Google Ads, YouTube ads are a completely different animal. There are lots of people that just specialize just in YouTube ads. That's how different it is. So then you would have YouTube ads one level deeper, and then inside YouTube ads, you would again have different processes because you got a person who's making the videos, you have the person who's putting the ads together and optimizing campaign. Maybe there's a different person who's pulling in the data on a weekly basis or daily basis. So you have enough budget there and that sort of stuff, right? So these are basically the levels, process groups and processes, right? So let's have a look at a few examples. Now, first of all, everything inside a process, all the individual steps and tasks doesn't become visualized on a mind map, right? So we don't want to keep going here and continuing and then end up with a mind map that has like 1,000 different branches, right? So we're not going to have like SOPs linked here and any other sort of stuff. The company mind map is still the big picture, even though it looks like it's comprehensive, which it is. At some level, you then need separate boards and separate process maps for each of the functions, right? So that's why I stop at this level. You do whatever is more appropriate to your business or however you think about your business. Typically, you will go 3 to 4 levels deep, and that's where you will stop for the mind map. Then obviously, you need to keep systemizing further, but that's not what this video is about, right? So here, again, an example branch. I just showed you this. You might have growth. Inside, you might have marketing, or maybe marketing growth to you is the same. The reason why it could be separate, for example, is because you might see sales as separate from marketing. And then you'd have a growth department, and inside you would have a marketing team and a sales team. And maybe even like a developing partnership team, right? And then, so let's say inside marketing, you would have social media. Inside social media, you would have Instagram and other channels. And inside Instagram, you have, like I said, different processes, content creation, scheduling, that sort of stuff. So that's how it flows. And some functions will have more levels to it than others because they're just more complicated. That's the nature of the business, and yeah, it doesn't really matter. Now, I would suggest you start with the 4 main departments. That's most businesses that I work with. And then each of them see things a little bit differently, and they'll create another department or name it differently or whatever it is. And again, departments don't mean kind of like a big corporation. Now you need to have departments, and like inside departments, their team. It's just words. It's just a way of thinking about it and talking about it. You can name them whatever you want to call them. You can name them areas or core functions and so on. I name them departments. And inside departments, the next level, I name teams. So basically a standard structure would be growth. So anything that brings in customers and revenue, marketing, ads, social, partnership, sales, email marketing, like all that will be under growth. Then you have the products, right? What you sell, product development, suppliers, inventory, quality control. So anything other products, developing, improving, that goes under products. Then the next one would be operations. That's daily execution. Okay, so how do we actually operate as a business? What needs to get done? Customer service, fulfillment, shipping, returns, delivering the service if you're not selling products and so on. And then the 4th one would be leadership, which is the strategic layer, which I always put in there the strategy, the finance, and team. Even though many people put team separately as an HR department, I think for small businesses, really the owner is the person who's driving this forward, how to build and design a team. So I see it as under leadership. And leadership doesn't mean that's just you who's responsible for that, right? It just means that's a core function of the business that is a leadership function that designs the machine, right? It's more than just, okay, how do we do, I don't know, Instagram posts? It's like, how do we actually design our company and build our company, right? Which is one level higher. So anyway, that's why this is under leadership. So again, if you think about your business differently, just change it. You can split out departments, you can rename them, you can tweak them, you can have more departments. Make it so that it fits with the way how you see your business. The goal is to map your reality, and you don't have to force yourself into our structure. So once you have that, everything out in the open, then you start assigning ownership, okay? Because you want each of these departments and teams and processes to be owned by other people than you eventually. Now, if you're a one-man band, then you own all of it. That's fine. You still want to systemize it because it will make you more efficient and you will save a lot of time doing the stuff, right? But eventually you'll probably be bringing in people, or you already have a team. So now they need to own departments. So you're not stuck assigning tasks and checking work and that sort of stuff. They just report to you on goals and KPIs that they're hitting, and that's basically it. Okay, so how do you add ownership? It's simple. Each branch needs an owner. So you can add people to each branch. So let's say in this example, I would be responsible for paid ads. All right, so you just put a photo here. Now everybody knows this is the person, and you could use a sticky note with a name, doesn't really matter. But this is now the person, they're responsible, they own the outcomes and the results of paid ads. And then you could say, okay, but actually inside Facebook ads, let's say Elizabeth, she's running Facebook ads, okay? That means I'm responsible for paid ads overall, but I have different people under me who are running ads on different platforms, right? And or maybe it's just me and I'm running ads for all the platforms, then it's always me, right? But the point is you assign somebody to each of these branches. See how now you're using this company mind map to make sure that there are no orphan processes in there, because if there are, guess what? They land on your lap, right? And you don't even know it until things happen and you need to do something and it's pulling you out of the strategic work. And that's where most people get stuck. They just react on a day-to-day basis. Oh, this happened. Who can do it? Nobody. I have to quickly jump in and do it. Oh, now they're asking me about this stuff. So if you create a mind map where you can see your entire business on one screen and then assign ownership, and there are different levels to then how you can drive this forward and keep systemizing and making sure everybody knows what they're doing. But just as a big picture, you will already see who owns what and where the gaps are. And you might see your face on a lot of them and you might think, okay, I don't want it like this. I need to systemize more and hire people and that sort of stuff. But this is how you can assign ownership. And not only you, but everybody else on the team will also understand who owns which department, who's responsible for what, and that sort of stuff. And another little side benefit will be to people start seeing themselves, because if you make it clear that you want to systemize and delegate things, and you're looking for people who will take responsibility in initiative, then for example, in this case, let's say Elizabeth might start thinking, actually, I would want to own the entire paid ads department, because that will allow Yanis to own the entire growth, which I'm probably owning anyway. But they can start help you remove yourself from certain aspects of it once it's clear like this and it's very systematic. Otherwise, it's all vague. Oh, I need somebody to help me with Instagram. Okay, good. Now you didn't create any system around it. You're going to be stuck managing that person. It's just the usual stuff that you're probably doing right now on a day-to-day basis. That's basically it. You can't delegate what isn't clearly defined, right? And the mind map makes every function visible and assignable and tangible and systematic. So again, how do you build yours? Get our template, start with the 4 departments, tweak it, add teams inside of each department. Then you add one layer deeper, systems and process groups, individual processes, and then you assign ownership. That's basically what I just showed in the video. Again, don't try to make it perfect at the beginning. Things will change. You will start understanding more how to systemize your business. You might change the structure because it will start more aligning with what's actually happening, or maybe you'll improve your skills. The point is, it's going to change over time, and even your business might change. You might add more departments, more team. You might systemize more, all this sort of stuff, right? So don't get stuck on making it perfect. Just put it out there and then make sure you keep engaging with it and keep updating it, because that really will become one of your core tools in running your company, right? Because that's what you should be doing. You should be designing the machine that is your company and not focusing on the little aspects inside of that machine that needs to be executed, right? That's other people's job and the job of the systems. But you design the machine and put the things together. You are the architect of your business, right? So that's it. Now, this mind map can be used for all sorts of stuff, which I'm not going to get into inside this video, but basically you can color code the maturity level, see how much is delegated and systemized inside of each branch. You can use your mind map as your universal organizing principle. So you structure everything in your business like this, from Google folders to everything else. So it's all matching. You can do a bunch of other stuff, right? So for now, just download the company mind map template. This is done in a whiteboard, or create your own. There are plenty of whiteboard tools out there. It's very simple. You just sit down and get your business out of your head. Because once everyone can see the structure and see who owns what, then you stop being the only person with the answers. You can actually start delegating, which isn't just giving tasks to people. It's delegating outcomes and results. People become responsible for the results. And the questions go to the right people instead of always you. And eventually they go to the systems, right? Because once you have this, then you can start building systems. Then the person doesn't have to ask anybody anymore, because they own that department, they own that process, and the systems that are in place and the training takes care of all that stuff. So that's how you stop being the bottleneck and finally build a business that can grow beyond your personal capacity. And I'll see you in the next video.